Welcome to Hydrogen Rising, a bi-weekly podcast created and hosted by the global law firm K&L Gates. It brings you analysis of critical, cutting-edge issues impacting the global hydrogen market. We look forward to your engagement and feedback. And of course, don't hesitate to reach out if you have ideas about new topics you'd like us to cover.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hydrogen Rising. I'm Sandy Safro. I'm a practice group coordinator for K&L Gates Oil, Gas, and Resources practice and a co-lead on our recently launched Global Hydrogen practice. I'll be your host for today's episode focused on Singapore, and I'm excited to be joined by my partner, Lian Tan, who is resident in our Singapore office. Lian serves as a practice group coordinator for our energy group's construction and infrastructure practice and has over 25 years of experience advising clients on a broad spectrum of energy projects. Lian, I'm looking forward to exploring the developments in the hydrogen space in Singapore and the role that Singapore may play in the emergence of a global hydrogen economy. So welcome to the podcast.
Hey, hi Sandy, it's great to be here today. As many of our listeners may know, Singapore has been an important part of the energy market, both in the Asia-Pacific region and globally. As interest in hydrogen has been growing, we've seen Singapore take a number of active steps to support hydrogen development. I think Singapore has the opportunity to play an important role in the development of a global and regional hydrogen economy.
Thanks, Lian. That's really exciting to hear. I know last week was Singapore International Energy Week 2020, and there were several hydrogen-related announcements on the sidelines of that conference. Can you maybe give us a high-level sense of what some of those announcements were?
Sure, I'll be happy to. As our listeners may recall, Singapore ratified the Paris Agreement in 2016 and committed to significant emissions reduction targets. A number of other countries that have signed on to the Paris Agreement have taken noteworthy steps to support hydrogen, several of which are discussed in K&L Gates' Hydrogen Handbook, and our colleagues discussed the steps that the European Union and United Kingdom are taking in our last podcast. Like others, Singapore is viewing hydrogen as not only an energy source that could take on a larger role in our energy mix, but also as a potential part of the path to reaching our emissions reductions goals. As you mentioned last week, Singapore announced several developments to support hydrogen. Firstly, Singapore government announced a multi-agency funding initiative that earmarks about $36 million over the next 5 years for research, development, and demonstration projects aimed at low-carbon energy technologies, including hydrogen and carbon capture, utilization, and storage projects. Secondly, Singapore and Australia announced that the signing of a memorandum of understanding to advance cooperation on low-carbon emissions technologies and solutions, including hydrogen. And the third development announced last Monday that I wanted to mention is a memorandum of understanding between Keppel Data Centre, City Gas, and the City Gas Osaka Gas joint venture to explore initially using LNG to power a floating data center and ultimately shifting to hydrogen.
Thank you, Lian. Those are really exciting developments. Shifting a little bit, you have significant experience working on energy projects in Singapore, and I'd be interested to hear your impressions on Singapore's role in energy markets and how we may see that role translate into the hydrogen space.
Yeah, definitely, Sandy. Singapore is Asia commodities trading hub. It has a mature ecosystem of traders, bankers, insurers, shippers, and lawyers that had enabled Singapore to also become Asia's LNG trading hub. Even though, if you look at it, Singapore's domestic demand for LNG is relatively small. I see Singapore playing the same role vis-a-vis hydrogen, and Singapore is already taking steps to position itself as Asia's hydrogen trading hub. Expect Singapore will punch above its weight in hydrogen trading, just as it has accomplished with trading of LNG.
That's really interesting. Thank you, Lian. As you know, LNG is a commodity that's near and dear to my heart as well. One final question for you. You've done a lot of work in the LNG space, and I know LNG pricing has evolved over time. Can you talk a little bit about what that evolution has looked like and if we might see similar trend lines for hydrogen?
Yeah, happy to. So if you look at how gas price benchmarks, such as Henry Hub and National Balancing Point, were developed, they were brought about by deregulation in the gas market in the US and the UK respectively. Now Asia, the world's biggest LNG buyer, is expected to develop regional LNG trading hubs and price benchmarks as the LNG market in Asia becomes deregulated, more liquid and commoditized. I expect the same trend lines for hydrogen. but with a shorter evolutionary timeline. Unlike LNG, which has to evolve from oil-indexed pricing, I think hydrogen will be less bogged down by historical pricing baggage. Suppliers and buyers, many of whom are heavily involved in the sale and purchase of LNG, will heed the lessons learned from LNG and strive to develop mutually sustainable hydrogen pricing benchmarks.
Great. Thank you so much, Lian, and thank you for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Singapore's role in the hydrogen economy continues to evolve.
Hey, me too, Sandy. Our team will be watching closely, and I look forward to discussing further developments on future podcast episodes.
Yeah, we would love that, Lian. Thank you again. And thank you to our listeners for joining us today. Lian mentioned the Hydrogen Handbook, which for those who may not be familiar, is a free resource available at klgates.com/hydrogen. The handbook covers legal, regulatory, commercial, and policy issues that we think the hydrogen industry will face. And it includes chapters on Australia, the European Union, Germany, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. And we plan to add more chapters in the coming months. If you have any questions about any of the issues we discussed today, please don't hesitate to reach out, and definitely stay tuned for our next episode of Hydrogen Rising, which will be coming your way in just 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Hydrogen Rising. Be sure to subscribe to receive timely notifications of future episodes, and check out our market-leading publication, the Hydrogen Handbook, on our website at www.klgates.com.